Noustrop literally translates into English as narrow strap, but the term is most often used colloquially in Afrikaans as a word that means to struggle. This is not surprising, as this difficult pass must have presented a formidable obstacle to the voortrekkers when they first arrived here, similar to the nearby Help Mekaar Pass, which translates into Help Each Other Pass. The signs which bookend this pass on either end spell the name as Noustrop Pass, which is also the name of a farm in the vicinity. The gravel surfaced road is in a fairly good condition, but there are sections which could present a problem in wet weather. It's located close to the Anglo-Zulu War battlefields of Rooksdrift, Fugitives Drift and Isildwana. We filmed this pass from northeast to southwest in the ascending mode. It starts off at its low point, where the road crosses over a small stream via a concrete bridge. This is followed immediately by a sharp 90-degree corner to the right. Then the road meanders along a twisty section of 950 meters, climbing gradually, with a tall ridge of mountains looming on the skyline directly ahead. At the 1.1 kilometer point, the road bends through a gentle S-bend, then straightens up once more into the south. If you look carefully to your left at this point, you'll be able to see a small picturesque village nestled under the mountains. After a straight of 550 meters, the road turns sharply to the left through 90 degrees and the real climbing begins in earnest. Now heading directly into the east, the pass winds its way steeply and diagonally up the mountain. The road is covered with sharp stones and the chances of getting a puncture are fairly high, particularly if you have a moment of inattention and stray slightly off the road. The well-known Battle of Rooksdrift was fought on the 22nd of January 1879, where the British Army suffered the most humiliating defeat in its history against a native military force, the Zulu army of King Cetshwayo. After the central column of Lord Chelmsford had crossed the Mzanyati River in its invasion of Zululand, it was on its way to a meeting with destiny at Isildwana. The mission buildings below Shiani Hill, also known as Oscarsberg, were converted into a hospital and provision depot. Under the command of Major Henry Spalding, the camp included Lieutenant John Chard, who was tasked with preparing an entrenchment intended to be occupied by G Company of the 1st 24th Regiment under Captain Rainsforth. Later that morning, intense gunfire was heard from the direction of Isandlwana, and the news soon reached Chard of the disaster that had struck the central column. Chard hastily ordered preparations for a defensive stand at Rooksdrift. The Zulu reserves, under the command of Cetshwayo's brother, Prince Dabulamanzi, totaled some 4,000 warriors. They had crossed the river at a point above Fugitives Drift and advanced towards the post. The Zulu attack was launched at around 4:30 p.m, with the terraces behind the post having been occupied by warriors. Somewhat inaccurate rifle fire was directed at the defenders, who responded with well-controlled volleys. Several elements of the Zulu force charged towards the front of the hospital, but Prince Dabulamanzi encouraged his warriors to attack en masse rather than in small groups. Repeated attacks were launched, and eventually sniping from the Shiani terraces began to take its toll. The British lost 17 men, and virtually every other man had been wounded, whereas the Zulus lost over 375 warriors who were counted and buried in 2 mass graves, and at least a further 100 were dragged away by the departing warriors towards the river.